Nobody ever thought a YouTuber could shake up NASCAR, but that's exactly what happened. Cleetus McFarland showed up, turned heads, and left even Dale Earnhardt Jr. saying things may never be the same again. Garrett Mitchell, better known as Cleetus McFarland, wasn't born into racing royalty. He didn't grow up with factory sponsorships or family teams. He started with a camera, a garage, and a knack for making car content that felt raw and fun. His YouTube channel grew from silly experiments into a motorsport empire. In 2015, everything changed. During a random video, his buddy called him Cleetus as a joke. Fans latched onto it. Garrett leaned in, adopted the character, and built a brand around this personality who loved horsepower, burnouts, and freedom. Behind the humor was a sharp business mind and years of filming for 1320 video. By the time the Cleetus name exploded, he was ready to turn it into something unstoppable. He didn't stop at videos. He built the Freedom Factory, an abandoned Florida speedway turned into a playground. He created wild builds like Leroy the Savage, a stripped-down Corvette that became legendary online. He organized events like the Freedom 500, burnout competitions, and drag shootouts, all streamed to millions eager to watch not just the cars, but the chaos. By the time he dipped into professional racing, he wasn't just another rookie. He was bringing an army of fans with him, millions online, thousands traveling to watch, and more tuning in from home. When Cleetus entered the ARCA Menard Series race at Daytona in 2025, expectations were low. He was an internet guy stepping into one of the most famous tracks in the world. The result on track was rough. He crashed out and finished 30th. But the real story was off the track. His in-car stream pulled in over 40,000 live viewers. Fox Sports coverage featuring him surged past 5.8 million views. That's over 10 times what a typical ARCA broadcast delivers. The Daily Downforce reported it was the most watched ARCA Daytona race since 2013. That's when NASCAR executives started sweating. Then came Talladega. Despite engine trouble, Cleetus finished in the top 10, completing all 77 laps. His YouTube in-car stream peaked at 60,000 live viewers. Veteran driver Kenny Wallace admitted Cleetus had undeniable value. NASCAR, whether they liked it or not, needed him. Mike Joy had been warning NASCAR. Their fan base was aging. Ratings showed older audiences tuning in, while younger fans checked out. Then McFarland came along and flipped the narrative. He was bringing teenagers, college kids, and 20-somethings who never watched a lap before. That's when Dale Jr. stepped in. He invited Cleetus to his podcast, the Dale Jr. Download. They didn't just talk racing. They talked culture, YouTube, and how the sport needed to evolve. The episode became one of Dirty Mo Media's most popular. For Dale Jr., this wasn't just entertainment. It was a sign of where the sport had to go. But the real turning point came when Dale Jr. agreed to drive the Dale Truck. The Dale Truck isn't just some prop, it's a former NASCAR Craftsman truck, rebuilt as a drag monster, painted in tribute to Dale Earnhardt Sr.'s number 3. And when Dale Jr. got behind the wheel, he realized how serious this all was. He floored it, and within a split second, he panicked. The launch was so violent that his body slammed back, his foot came off the pedal, and he had to lift. Reviewing the data later, Cleetus pointed out that Jr. dropped to 26%, throttle less than 1/10 of a second into the run. Dale Jr. described it as a jump scare, like walking through haunted woods when someone jumps out with a chainsaw. That's how hard the truck hit, but instead of quitting, he asked to go again. The second run was smoother, and when he climbed out, he couldn't stop grinning. The bigger realization hit him later. If a drag truck could deliver that kind of rush, what must it feel like in NHRA top fuel at 300 miles per hour? Suddenly, Tony Stewart's transition from NASCAR to NHRA made perfect sense. Here's the harsh truth. NASCAR has been struggling with declining ratings and an aging audience. The average fan is in their 50s, and younger viewers aren't connecting with traditional broadcasts. Sponsors want fresh eyes, teams want packed stands, networks want ratings. Enter Cleetus. He's everything NASCAR isn't. Unscripted, relatable, authentic. He crashes, laughs at himself, talks directly to fans, and brings them along. He doesn't hide mistakes behind PR spin. That's why young people love him. He feels real. It's the same formula Jake Paul used to revive boxing among Gen Z. Love him or hate him, he brought millions of fans to a fading sport. Now, Cleetus is doing the same for racing. He's bringing in new fans who never cared about lap averages or pit stops. They care about connection and feeling part of the action. For Dale Jr., this is both exciting and unnerving. He's NASCAR's ambassador, its bridge to modern culture. But even he admits what McFarland is doing highlights NASCAR's weakness. The old model, big TV deals, scripted promos, is cracking. And McFarland just proved it with YouTube streams pulling bigger numbers than traditional coverage. That's why Dale Jr. looks uneasy. It's not panic about losing his place, it's panic about what it means for the sport. If NASCAR can't adapt, Cleetus won't just be a fun side story. He'll be the blueprint. This isn't just about one guy in a truck, it's about the future of the sport. NASCAR's survival depends on connecting with a new generation, and right now, Cletus McFarland is doing that better than anyone. If other creators follow his lead, and they will, then NASCAR has to decide, partner with them, or get left behind. Some insiders are already whispering about collaborations, influencer partnerships, and in-car streams. Others are resistant, clinging to tradition, but the data doesn't lie. Cleetus has proven he can draw bigger numbers, louder crowds, and younger fans than many official NASCAR campaigns. That's not just entertainment, that's disruption. The fan response has been explosive. Social media erupts every time Cleetus races, whether he wins or crashes. At Talladega, chants of his name could be heard in the stands. On YouTube, comment sections flood with people saying it's their first NASCAR race, and they loved it. That's gold for the sport, but terrifying for executives who realize a YouTuber might be doing their job better than they are. Older fans sometimes push back, calling him a sideshow. But even many of them admit they're watching, because love him or hate him, Cleetus makes things exciting, and excitement is what NASCAR needs. In the end, the Cleetus McFarland effect is bigger than one driver. It's proof the future of racing won't just be decided by lap times and sponsor deals. It will be decided by who can connect with fans and make people care again. NASCAR is at a crossroads, and Dale Jr. knows it. He's not panicking about losing relevance, he's panicking about the sport's ability to keep up. McFarland just showed the world that the next generation of racing fans isn't going to sit quietly in front of a TV on Sunday afternoons. They want interaction, access, and energy. And if NASCAR doesn't give it to them, Cleetus McFarland will. The countdown has already started. Dale Jr. has seen it up close. NASCAR has felt the shockwaves. Cleetus McFarland is here and he isn't slowing down. The question is whether NASCAR will accelerate with him or get left in the dust. Because one thing is clear. When a YouTuber can make Dale Earnhardt Jr. question the future of the sport, you know racing is on the edge of a revolution.
Denny Hamlin on the pole position alongside Kyle Larson. Race 2 of the playoffs. Let's go!
Denny Hamlin just won his 5th race of 2025 at Worldwide Technology Raceway, but what he said after crossing the finish line has everyone talking. For the first time ever, the 44-year-old driver revealed exactly when he plans to hang up his helmet. And the clock is ticking faster than anyone thought. When reporters asked Hamlin how he stays so focused at his age, his answer caught everyone off guard.
I knew exactly how many races were left, and it's like, the countdown has begun.
This wasn't some vague comment about retiring someday. Hamlin was dead serious about having an exact number. He went on to explain that he'll turn 45 the week after this season ends, and that leaves him just 2 more seasons after 2025. Do the math, and you're looking at roughly 70 races left in one of NASCAR's most successful careers. Hamlin even talked about a recent conversation with Kevin Harvick, saying, "I knew exactly how many races were left." But here's the kicker. Hamlin isn't planning to fade away quietly. He made it crystal clear that pride won't let him stick around past his prime.
There's just got to be a means to an end. I'm just not going to leave this sport on my deathbed. Just leaking oil, just running in the back of the pack. I have way too much pride for that. I'm way too cocky for that. There's just no way. I want to be able to win my last race.
This timeline means Hamlin has exactly 2 more shots at the Daytona 500, 2 more chances to finally win his first Brickyard 400, and most importantly, a rapidly closing window to capture that elusive first championship. When asked if winning the title would make him consider walking away on top, Hamlin didn't hesitate.
Sure, absolutely. Sounds like a good way to end.
Sunday's victory at Gateway wasn't just another win. It marked Toyota's 200th NASCAR Cup Series victory, with Hamlin claiming 56 of those wins. That ties him with Kyle Busch for the most Toyota victories ever. At 59 career wins, he's also just one away from tying Kevin Harvick at 60 wins. Tyler Gibbs from Toyota Racing Development put the milestone in perspective, saying it represents 19 years of partnership success across teams like Joe Gibbs Racing, 23XI, and others. For Hamlin, who switched from Chevrolet to Toyota early in his career, the relationship runs deep.
Relationship with them. And so, I've got Toyota running through my blood, both top and bottom.
He said, referencing both his driving career and his ownership of 23XI racing with Michael Jordan. While Hamlin was celebrating and making retirement announcements, Shane Van Gisbergen was fighting for his NASCAR playoff life, and honestly, it wasn't going well. The New Zealand driver started 18th at Gateway, just 0.4 of a second behind Hamlin's pole-winning time. That looked promising, but things went downhill fast. Van Gisbergen climbed to 17th on the opening lap. But his car developed serious handling problems that never got fixed.
Oh, we're wrecking! It's Shane Van Gisbergen and the WeatherTech Chevrolet.
Caution, get it rolling here if you can. Barely touch the left rear on the wall. Should be fine. Get it turned around here, all good.
Over the radio, Van Gisbergen didn't hold back his frustration. "I feel useless," he told his crew after struggling with a car he described as very loose. The problems were consistent throughout the race. He'd show speed on restarts, but lose everything once the field spread out. "I'm good on a restart, but once it strings out, I've got nothing," he explained to his team. The first stage gave Van Gisbergen some hope. His crew gained him track position during a caution, and he briefly climbed as high as 9th place before dropping back to finish the stage in 12th. But stage 2 was worse, with Van Gisbergen falling all the way back to 19th and missing out on stage points again. Then came the moment that really hurt his playoff chances. With 85 laps to go, Van Gisbergen spun in turn 3, bringing out a caution. While he avoided damage, the incident cost him valuable track position. His team tried to get creative with strategy, calling for a 2-tire stop that briefly moved him toward the front. But any chance of capitalizing disappeared when officials penalized him for speeding on pit road. That speeding penalty forced a drive-through that dropped Van Gisbergen deep in the field with no time to recover. He ended up finishing 25th, sandwiched between Ross Chastain and Alex Bowman. It was a disappointing result that pushed him 15 points below the playoff cut line heading into Bristol. After the race, Van Gisbergen was honest about where his team stands. He said, "We were probably a 15th place car, but then detuned it a little bit and ended up where we did." He acknowledged that finishing 20th or 15th represents huge improvement for his program, but added, "Obviously in the playoffs you expect more. There's that pressure there." The playoff picture after Gateway shows just how much trouble Van Gisbergen is in. With one race left in the first round, only Hamlin and Chase Briscoe have locked in their spots with wins. Kyle Larson sits 60 points above the cut line and can actually clinch his spot just by starting the race at Bristol. Above the cut line, you've got Bubba Wallace at plus 50, Ryan Blaney at plus 42, despite getting spun by Larson during the race. Austin Dillon sits 11 points back, followed by Van Gisbergen at minus 15, Alex Bowman at minus 35 after another rough day, and Josh Berry at minus 45, following his second straight last-place finish. For Van Gisbergen, Bristol represents a last-chance opportunity. The Base Pro Shop's night race has been tough for international drivers to figure out, and Van Gisbergen's limited experience at the half-mile track doesn't help his chances. He needs either a miracle finish or for several drivers ahead of him to have problems. Meanwhile, Hamlin left Gateway in vintage form, embracing his role as NASCAR's biggest villain. After taking the checkered flag, he did a long burnout down the front stretch while the crowd booed loudly. His response was perfect. It's remarkable what Hamlin is juggling right now. He's co-hosting a podcast, running a 3-car race team with Michael Jordan, raising 3 kids including one born just 3 months ago, and still performing at an elite level in his 20th Cup Series season. Team owner Joe Gibbs marvels at Hamlin's ability to handle everything, joking he's in one meeting after another. The more stuff he does, the better off he is. The contrast between Hamlin and Van Gisbergen couldn't be sharper right now. Hamlin is racing stress-free after locking in his playoff spot, while Van Gisbergen faces potential elimination from his first NASCAR playoff appearance. Hamlin has a clear timeline for his career and specific goals he wants to achieve. Van Gisbergen is still learning how to set up cars for oval racing and finding speed when it matters most. Bristol Motor Speedway will be the site where these two very different stories continue. The stakes couldn't be higher for the four drivers currently on the outside looking in. Josh Berry is 45 points back and basically needs a win to advance. Alex Bowman has struggled with speed and pit road mistakes for 2 straight weeks. Austin Dillon is hanging on by 11 points after a difficult day at Gateway where he actually spun out his own brother Ty during the race, but all eyes will be on Van Gisbergen. The 3-time Supercars champion came to NASCAR with high expectations, and making the playoffs in his first full season was already an achievement. Getting eliminated in the first round would sting, but it wouldn't erase the progress he's made adapting to a completely different style of racing. Hamlin's retirement timeline adds another layer to this story. While Van Gisbergen is just getting started in NASCAR, one of the sport's biggest stars is counting down his final races. Hamlin wants to go out on top, and with 70 races left, every opportunity to win becomes more precious.
What do you think?
Oh man, he's the real deal. At first I wasn't sure, but the guy's earning respect. He's bringing the fun back.
62 to go when they come to the line.
Oh, look at, oh no!
Oh, he spun the tires and then spinning.
Cleetus McFarland was never supposed to be a NASCAR driver. Known for his insane car stunts and burnouts on YouTube, he seemed like just another internet star playing around with fast cars. But now, he's racing with the pros, and the NASCAR world is divided. Some are cheering him on, while others think he doesn't belong. So, what do the real NASCAR drivers think about him? The answers might surprise you. Cletus McFarland's rise from a YouTube car enthusiast to a legitimate NASCAR racer is nothing short of extraordinary. For years, Cletus was the guy who burned rubber, hosted burnout contests, and created wild car stunts for his massive online following. No one could have predicted that this YouTube personality would one day find himself behind the wheel of a real race car in the NASCAR scene. But when Cletus made his ARCA debut at Daytona with Reddy Jones Racing, it was clear this wasn't just a stunt, it was the start of a serious racing career. Yes, his first race ended in a crash, but instead of giving up or making excuses, Cletus took it as a learning opportunity. He didn't just walk away. He became obsessed with improving. Cletus started studying race tapes, watching lap after lap of footage, and seeking advice from veteran drivers who had been racing for decades. This was no longer about stunts or social media fame. It was about becoming a skilled driver. Despite his commitment to getting better, not everyone was impressed. NASCAR veteran Kenny Wallace didn't hold back. He criticized Cletus for using an unauthorized in-car camera setup and wearing safety gear that didn't meet NASCAR's standards. Wallace, a respected voice in the sport, was blunt. You don't just show up and freestyle your way through. There are lives on the line. His criticism was clear. It wasn't about fame. It was about the rules and safety of the sport. Rather than reacting defensively, Cletus did something surprising. He apologized.
So I felt like an idiot, and I apologize to who I hit there. That sucks, but we ended up, what, P9?
This moment of humility showed the racing world that Cletus wasn't just there for the attention, he was serious about learning and earning his place on the track. It didn't take long for other NASCAR legends to notice Cletus's drive to improve. One major turning point came when NASCAR great Greg Biffle, a driver with 19 Cup Series wins, offered to help. Here's what Jeff Gregg said post-race about Cletus McFarland's ARCA debut.
He did all the work, warmed the tires up on the back. I told him to, and he, felt like he had his grip down, but the back different than the front.
Biffle took Cletus under his wing, giving him tips on everything from driving techniques to communication with the pit crew. This kind of mentorship from someone with Biffle's experience was a game changer for Cletus, giving him the confidence to keep going. Then came Kevin Harvick, a 3-time NASCAR Cup Series champion. Harvick invited Cletus onto his podcast for a no-nonsense conversation. Harvick explained that NASCAR was no easy sport to master. It took years of experience, hard work, and dedication. But Harvick also saw the effort Cletus was putting in and acknowledged his determination. This kind of support from two seasoned veterans proved that Cleetus wasn't just a flash in the pan, he was becoming a legitimate driver in the sport. Every race Cleetus entered was a chance to grow, and he didn't shy away from the hard lessons.
I think I ran every single possible line through 3 and 4.
I saw that.
And I think I just killed the front right on the car,
Yeah,
trying to keep up with those dudes.
He wasn't afraid to admit that he was struggling, but it was clear he was learning from every mistake. He also had some humorous insights along the way. After being passed by another driver, he joked,
It's like getting your freaking wing clipped when they come out on your outside. Holy, the first time that happened, I'm lucky I didn't take that dude outside of me out.
But these jokes weren't just about fun. They showed that Cleetus was absorbing the reality of NASCAR's intense competition.